Okay, let's just jump on in. Transparency gives you clarity. And transparency has to start within. You have to be aware of your mind and clear on the way your thoughts process. What goes through, you have to mental floss, clear it out. That is why we meditate. That is why mindfulness practices are important. To start your day, you have to polish off your diamond, your clarity. You have to be clear in knowing who you are, where your thoughts are at, in order to proceed in life. Because life is going to show up to you where you're at. And when you have clarity and you are aware, you can't get caught off guard. So let's start over again. Mindfulness. Your presence, that's where your awareness is. When you are present in the moment and you're mindful of your thoughts and what is going on with you, that leads to you not being able to get caught off guard. If you are present with your thoughts, mindful with awareness, you can't get caught off guard because you are on guard. You are clear. You are aware. And when you have clarity, there's transparency. You can see through the eye of the needle. You can recognize outside things going on around you, what is truth and what is not. Because when you know your own truth, your Sat Nam, your true identity, you know what goes on up in here? There ain't nothing out there around you that can take you out of your peace, that can create trauma or chaos unless you willingly participate. How many of you out there are easily caught off guard? It's because you're not aware what goes on in here. Here's the key. Come to meditate with me. When you gain clarity of what's going on between the two ears, you floss that stuff out. That is the true purpose of meditation, is so that you can clean your slate, clean your mental state, so that you can see more clarity of yourself, your truth, and then whatever shows up around you will show up to challenge you. It will show up to remind you of your truth. It will be there to oppose, but also go along with wherever you're at. It's about your willingness and your mindfulness to participate in life from this space. So if you are someone who gets easily caught off guard, step back and ask yourself how much you are in tune with, in touch with your own true identity, your own truth. Do you really know what goes on up in here? We are our own worst inner critics. We talk such shit to ourselves and then wonder why other people do it to us. You're caught off guard because you're not on guard. On guard starts in the mind. It doesn't start out around you. If you are constantly defending yourself, at odds with people around you, in constant fight or flight, in fight, it's because you're not in tune here. This is about as clear as I can get to offer you a window of opportunity, of insight into you. How do I know? Because it starts with me. And I recognize from my own personal experience, which is what I teach from. I don't teach from books of knowledge and awareness and information. We are in the age of information overload. I come from a technology background. We're all inundated and we're getting tons of stuff thrown at us daily, momentary. Wherever you put your attention, that is where you are at, and that is what starts gravitating towards you. You are a magnet for whatever's going on up in here. You're drawing it in, consciously or unconsciously. How many of you out there look for things to be wrong so that you can correct them? Because you are a problem solver. Oh, that's a great excuse. It's a good way to cover up for really just not being good with when things are good. That you always have to find things wrong. It's when you're so strong in your negative mind that you're finding all the negativity around you because it's so negative up in here. But you can always flip that switch by focusing on positive things. But first you must be aware of what's going on up in here. You can't correct the outside world until you're willing to do the inside work. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just here to give insight. Maybe illuminate some areas that maybe you're unaware of in your own life. Some ways that you maybe treat yourself. Because if I've been doing it to myself, I'm aware of it. I know there's plenty of y'all out there who also go through the same. And just like in customer service, they used to say, at least back when I was younger, for every one person that complains, there's at least 10 people who aren't. So keeping that in mind, for the silence that goes on up in here, our thoughts, it's really not silent, is it? It's quite loud and noisy and boisterous. It's constantly picking at you, trying to talk you into things, trying to talk you out of things, telling you where you're right or where you're wrong. It's telling everything you need to know. But you're usually not listening because it's unconscious and habitual. So you're going along to get along, even with your head and your mind. And then you're wondering why you're miserable in your life. If you're unaware of what's going on up in here, everything around you is going to seem like an attack. It's going to catch you off guard. But meditation is to keep you on your guard. Mindfulness and awareness is always to bring it back to whatever's going on up in here is what's creating all of that around me out there. Again, wherever you're at, life shows up to you there. It shows up where you're at. Mindfulness is a constant daily practice. If you are not participating and actively engaging, doing meditations or breath work daily, then ask yourself, are you in your happy place? Do you like the way that your days unfold? Or are you going through the motions? Are you just in constant habitual routine? The go, 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 go versus the let me just be for a moment. Let me just check in with myself. Where am I at today? Because believe it or not, without sitting in your own dark, you can't even recognize your own light. Without creeping into the shadows, the depths of your own despair, how would you recognize your pleasure and your joy and be so expressive and creative? Because it's even in those times of crap, sitting in your muck, that you will find there is just as much inspiration to be had because there's light even in the dark. But it's up to you to find the glimmer, to find the actual spark. It's up to you. It's a challenge. It's up to you to be present, to make that effort, to be mindful, and to see where it's all originating, where it's all starting, because it's always starting up in here. And it starts with you. Every day we wake up, the mind turns on and it goes into autopilot, and you go into your habits and your routines. Do you ever question those? If you are not someone who questions things, you best start now. And you should always be questioning, what's that all about going on up in here? What is it trying to tell me? Because the more you just go through habitual routine and ignore it, the body takes score. The body keeps score. The body language people, body's always telling on the mind. If you're not being kind up here, it is reflected in the body. It all starts in the mind. Success, it's a mental construct. You get to define what that looks like. You get to define how your life is. But how could you make it what you want it to be if you don't even know what it is in the moment? If you're not even present with what goes on up in your head, how are you ever going to be present with the things you claim you want so badly? Instead, you're always on defense because you're not even in awareness. Defense is lack of awareness. If you are living in the fight or flight, if you are constantly in stress, fight or flight, that's what stress does. You wear down your emotions, you wear down your immune system. And a weak immune system makes you susceptible to dis-ease, which again starts in the mind. Everything begins in the mind. How can you defend yourself from dis-ease in the body if you're denying the dis-ease in the mind? So take that, wrap your head around it literally, that when you start out with uncomfortable thoughts, shit's rolling through your head, you're in like that, I'm attacking myself. You're talking shit to yourself. That's how it starts. And then you start talking shit to other people. Just facts of life. What goes on inside, it permeates through. Every cell of your being is telling on you. Whether you want to believe it or not, some of us are really good at body language reading because we recognize it in ourselves. Because I recognize that I am that too, that the other person is a reflection of me. And I'm not going to deny that, because in the true essence of life, we are all mirrors of each other, aren't we? You can't deny that when something shows up to your life, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened until usually after the fact, right? So be present with what shows up to you. And if it's challenging you in the moment, check in. Check in. Where are you at here? Wherever you're at here is telling out here. Be on guard. Start your day off with mindfulness, meditation, some way to check in with your brain. If you have to sit and journal, I highly recommend it. Whatever you got to do to get this out, it's the only way. You've got to mental floss. It is another form of hygienic need. Like, you don't just brush your teeth. You need to floss your brain, floss your mind, clear out all the garbage. In Kundalini Yoga, we say the armpits are the garbage pit of the mind. You know why? Because we do a lot of arm exercises. And what's the first thing that pops up? The mind tries to talk you out of it. I don't want to do this. Oh, my arm. Oh, my this. Oh, my that. Because you're not properly aligned. You're not checking into your body and the way that the language is being spoken of the mind. Misalignment of the body is misalignment of the mind. Rigidity of the mind translates to the rigidity of the body. Do you want to be flexible? Work on the rigidity of your mind. Look at your belief systems and start questioning them. If you have not been questioning your own belief systems, how are you evolving? How are you growing? If you are still adopting old patterns, beliefs, ideas, stories, you're just recapitulating the past, because that's what history does. We are damned to repeat history when we fail to look at it and compare and question it. Critical reasoning, people. This is what we do. Look at history. Look at where we're at today. I'm not here to talk about that right now, but what I will tell you, it doesn't take much to see it repeating itself right now. And you can play the denial card all you want, but the dis-ease in the mind will show you in your body the dis-ease as it erupts, as it keeps score. And that whatever doesn't align with your heart and your soul is in clear transparency, relationship from the mind to the body. Those of us who struggle with physical pains and ailments and dis-eases and all these labels, which are truly there as guidance systems. They're not there to take you out of your peace. They're there to keep you on pace with your peace. Think about that for a second. Anything that seems challenging to you is only there for your growth. It's only there for your evolution. So when you feel like it's trying to take you out of your peace, it's actually trying to keep you on pace with your peace. Challenges are there to test your resilience and to show how much you care. Because anger, which is on the low vibration of the emotional scale, you know, everything has a vibration and a numerical number to equate to. Anger, it inspires you enough, usually, to take some form of action. It's usually right before you decide, I'm going to make a change. How many of you are so miserable in your lives right now that you're finally over it and you're ready to take the next step to make shift and change? What's it going to take? Is it going to take a dis-ease for you to step into your power? To put you back on the path of your peace? Transparency is clarity, people. If you can get clear with yourself and start out your day recognizing that your mind, that's where you put your guards up. When you know where you are here, then everything out here is transparent too. When you know your truth, your Satnam, your inner truth, you can see through all the bullshit around you and all the lies, and your truth will show up and it will ripple out. It will uplift, support, inspire, and empower others. But only you can do it for you and the people that you choose to surround yourself with. Be very selective. Be very cautious in the sense that notice if you're doing things out of fear. Because we tend to compromise, come to promise, not in a healthy sense. We tend to compromise our true soul essence out of fear. Love doesn't do that. Fear says, I'm afraid. Fear says, I'm scared I won't be loved or liked, or I won't have connection, or I'll be alone, or again, fear is fear of not receiving, giving, or being loved. You have to be really careful about that one and check in and recognize, is it the love that's motivating you? Because you know your heart feels really expansive. It feels like this bright, hallelujah. The angels singing, oh, the heavens open up. But fear, it makes you cower. Check your body language. Fear, your shoulders roll forward. You protect your heart. Again, if you watch my last video, it's all about opening the heart. The more expansive you are, the more in that power pose you can be, lifting from the heart space, the more invincible you will be. But when you are finding yourself, body language is becoming very out of alignment, that's just showing you where this is. Tune in. The body's wisdom, it's always speaking for you. This is my gift to you. Body wisdom, body language, mindfulness, get on guard. Get back into alignment with your heart and soul, because that's where it's at. And it all starts with sitting your ass down. Yeah, it fucking sucks, by the way. Nobody wants to be present. Nobody wants to do the work. Guess what? You want it so badly, it takes less time. It takes less time to be present than we give ourselves credit for. We think, I don't have time for this. The truth is, you make time for the things that are important to you, don't you? It's important. You'll find out the hard way if you do keep resisting it. The less you are present with your own mind, the more it hijacks you. And then the ego runs the show and you become a slave to the mind. You have to master your mind. As you've heard me before, master your breath, master your mind, and master your life. If you're not present enough to recognize how the mind has been ruling you, has been running the show, and getting you in a whole hell of a lot of trouble, I know I have been, the more you're going to suffer. So do you want to prolong your suffering? Or you want to walk on the path of peace? It's a choice. And even if you catch yourself on that path of suffering, at least take a moment, take a deep breath. Yeah, breathe in that great suffering, because you're choosing that too. It's always a choice. And you know what? There's some pain in suffering. But there's also pleasure in suffering, because there are people who do it daily and they take pleasure in it. It's just it's how you think about it, isn't it? I love you very much. This is my special gift to all of you. If you feel drawn and called, and you are looking for someone to support you as a coach, reach out to me. What's the worst that could happen? I might read your mind. I love you so much. Have an amazingly blessed day. Getting your clarity with your mental stillness and awareness. Stillness and mindfulness are your key to being on guard, because you are the guard of this. Love you.